I'm probably going to say this every time I review a game from this franchise, but Far Cry is a very weird franchise indeed. Every time you think they're going to take one direction, they end up going into another. One moment you're fighting a deranged violent cult fueled by drugs, the next one you're in Vietnam. Hours of Darkness is the first DLC that came out of Far Cry 5, and it does indeed take you on an adventure within the treacherous Vietnam jungles, and it gives a weird but interesting glimpse into what it would be like if Ubisoft made a military shooter in a more historical setting instead of the modern settings of their other franchises. In this game, we play as Wendell, a Vietnam veteran you meet during the main campaign, only here he's in his youth and his chopper got shot down by the NBA, and his unit got captured or killed. So now it's up to you to find your friends and get to the extraction point. And that's about as much plot as the game has. If anything, the story here is just flavor. The only other cutscene you get is during the ending, and everything else, well, it's pure and true open gameplay. So open in fact that you can choose to either do the usual open world checklist, or just say screw it and rush to the extraction point to see the ending. Whatever you do in this game is valid so long as you make it to the end, and do the grand bombastic finale. But because I am a gameplay junkie and I don't think talking about beating this game in 30 minutes or less makes for an interesting video, I went ahead and 100% completed the game, and you know what? I actually had a lot of fun with it. Much like some of the quests from the main game, the checklist in this DLC is bite-sized. And I mean very bite-sized. Everything is evenly distributed so you can have your fun without it getting too old. But of course, this is Vietnam. There is an oppressive atmosphere in the game. You are alone in the jungle and everyone is your enemy. So it is advised that you play with stealth. Successfully taking down enemies with stealth will grant you the stealth perks from the main game, but if you get spotted and get into a shootout, you will lose them. And with 99% of the people in the overworld being out to kill you, you will want to be stealthy, unless you're a great shot, that is. Because then you can't just shoot everybody. Like I said, it is all still valid, and getting into shootouts can be a lot easier once you start finding your friends. But even then, there is a catch. If any of your 3 companions die, they are gone for good. No respawns, no reloads. So it makes for a little self-imposed challenge to try and do everything the game has to offer, while also keeping your friends alive. And trust me when I say, it's not an easy thing to do, as these guys are actually more prone to eat bullets than your usual gun for hire. Which I guess explains why keeping them alive is not necessary for the 100% completion, you just have to rescue them. But before fighting the Viet Cong with your friends, you do want to secure weapons. Sneaking around and scavenging for a silenced weapon or anything that can let you take down guards before they spot you and turn you to Swiss cheese was both fun and tense. Finding equipment is an adventure of its own. You can imagine how happy and relieved I felt when my exploration rewarded me with those much needed silenced weapons. It made it feel like I was making legitimate progress. Same thing goes for whenever you have to take down an NBA official or rescuing POWs. Sneaking into enemy territory, taking down everybody, and not getting detected at all like a complete ghost is just amazing. You can even afford a mistake or two, spying explosives, and if you get lucky, nobody will know any better. But if you do want to maintain stealth and don't want to wait for guards to turn their back so you can silently kill them, you can simply call in an airstrike on them. You get 5 airstrikes at your disposal, and completing objectives from the checklist replenishes them. So you can tactically bombard people to better fit your playstyle, then make the airstrike token back. It's a constant cycle of self-progression, and I love it. Of course, life will be way too simple if you could just call in an airstrike anytime. Spread around the map there's anti-air guns that prevent you from calling in further airstrikes, so you have to destroy them in order to get your airstrikes back and even get intel on nearby objectives. But how do you know where anything is? Simple. There is multiple ways to do it. You start by exploring the map, then liberating prisoners that will give you intel, taking the intel from NBA officials that you kill, or destroying the aforementioned AA guns. The cycle of self-progression is constant, with the only real limitations being how good of a shot you are and how willing you are to play stealthy or get loud. The best part of everything being bite-sized for me is that by the time I reached the ending with my surviving friends, I felt like I was ready to finish the game. Not because I was tired or bored of it, but because I had legit completed everything there is to do. So I came into the finale satisfied instead of feeling like I was completing a chore. And that's about it for the main experience. Once you finish the game, you get treated with 2 new modes, an easy mode that lets you run and gun to your heart's content with little to no restrictions, and a survival mode that limits your resources to the bare minimum, giving you even more replayability and gameplay challenges, which is always a great plus for smaller games like this. Overall, Hours of Darkness is a very good gameplay package and I was happy with what I got. It's true the entire Vietnam War is barely explored, but you don't always have to make your military shooter into yet another preachy tale of how evil and pointless war is. Sometimes a game needs to be just that, a game. This is why I'm giving Hours of Darkness a very good 9 out of 10. I love stealth. I love dark oppressive atmospheres as the odds are super stacked against me, and I really don't care too much if there is plot to see through or not. So these DLCs scratched all the right itches. It also makes me legit curious of what would it be like if Ubisoft decided to actually explore historical settings for their games. I know this was essentially Far Cry in Vietnam, but imagine the potential of what they could achieve if they made a full fleshed out game out of this kind of stuff.